Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Uncanny X-Men 155 from 1981. Dave Cockrum, Storm here crying, Cyclops. We got Tigra and we got Corsair, and of course Wolverine here as we see poor Colossus here. Is this the end? Of course not. These issues are 45 years old. We all know Colossus isn't dead, but at this time we didn't know that. Nobody had died since Thunderbird, but you never know. So Bob Wyasek is the inker. And this is how I discovered this issue. X-Men Classic. It used to be Classic X-Men, but covered by Mike Mignola. And here we see Wolverine fighting the Brood. And I like this cover better than the original. Man, oh man. And so Chris Claremont is the writer with Dave Cockrum and Bob Wyacek doing the art here. First Blood is the title. Louise Jones, who becomes Louise Simonson, is the editor. And Glynis Wein, who ends up becoming Glynis Oliver, is the colorist. So here we have the Blackbird. We've got, love the screen tones being used here. We got Corsair, we got Storm, and Cyclops here. And Storm, I love that look. I mean, this is actually pretty a pretty good facial. Just angry, and she's concerned, and Corsair is indifferent. So Storm says, Scott, I know something of how you feel. And Cyclops says, do you, Storm? And she says, I too am an orphan, remember? I thought you were my friend, says Cyclops. So this is, of course, still picking up from last issue. I do have a playlist for all X-Men related. Everything that I'm doing is in reading order. So if you start from Classic X-Men #1, which is how I discovered all this, had the backup tales, everything, the supplemental, running all the way to current, everything is in order. Annuals, a couple of Marvel tales, the Marvel fanfare. So feel free to check that out. And so Storm continues, I am. And Scott says, a friend doesn't betray a trust or lie. You knew Corsair was my father. You've known for months, ever since the X-Men first met him, yet you never told me. And Storm says, as you said, a friend does not betray her trust. I promised Jean I would not reveal the truth to you. Why didn't she tell me? We loved each other, or so I thought, yet she kept that secret, even when our minds were linked in the rapport. Why? And you can see here, he kind of pushes her hand away here. And Corsair says, because I asked her to. I've been away from Earth too long. I had no intention of going back. And since you'd obviously forgotten me, Scott, I thought it better not to reveal myself as a father you'd only seen once briefly, and probably never again. So, love the coloring, kind of just the yellow here. Man, you just don't see this in modern comic books. Yes, I'm an old man, and yes, this is my get off the lawn moment. But anyway, look at the nice screen tones here. And so Corsair says, I thought only to spare you pain. And Cyclops says, did you? Are you sure you weren't motivated by guilt and shame at coming face to face with the children you deserted? And Corsair says, that's unfair, Scott. Your mother and I didn't leave you by choice. We were kidnapped by the Shi'ar. And he says, 20 years ago, he kind of snaps back. And in those 2 decades, did you ever even try to learn what happened to Alex and me? And so he continues here. We thought we knew when our plane was attacked and strapped. Oh, sorry, that was Corsair. And strapped the two into a parachute and shoved you out the escape hatch. We saw the canopy catch fire. We thought you were both killed in the fall. Corsair continues. Later, Anne, your mother, was executed before my eyes, and I was sold into slavery. I didn't come home because I felt I had nothing to come home to. Is grief a crime, Scott? Is ignorance? If so, I stand convicted. Does that satisfy you? Love the dialogue. Like this panel here, kind of breaking up the monotony of just showing the bird getting away here. And I love, again, the use of the screen tones here. So, and Cyclops says here, it isn't that simple, mister, or that easy. I spent 10 years in a state orphanage that was little better than a prison, praying, hoping against hope that one day my parents would arrive to sweep me out of there. I tried to remember what kind of a man you were, try to become a son you could be proud of. And what do I find? My dad's a pirate, as ruthless and cold-blooded as the villains the X-Men fight. And so from inside, Storm says, Cyclops, Corsair, look, the Blackbird is glowing. It's a transporter beam. The Shi'ar have found me. So, nice here. You can see here, a little orange, yellow, and then white, and then the Kirby dots here. Very nice panel here showing that they're being taken. And so, here, these ships look like bugs, I tell you. And it's funny that this thing was moving at high speeds, but it's landed nicely here. And we got some screen tones being used here. And so I'm flattered. Our reception committee consists of armored combat troopers and members of the Imperial Guards. They're taking no chances, says Corsair. And look at this. Look at, nice here. We got the Imperial Guard right here, and then different aliens and different stuff. So good panel here. And then suddenly here we got the rest of the X-Men here. And I love Colossus. By the way, Wolf! And Wolverine, what the flaming. And Kitty was in the pool, and she's like, hey, where's the ocean? Where am I? Professor Xavier and the rest of the X-Men, including Kitty, they've been taken too, says Storm. So, looks like they're grabbing everybody. And so Wolverine takes his claws. Colossus, Nightcrawler, cover Charlie and the kid. And Xavier says, no, Colossus, she's your claws. My telepathic abilities reveal that we're in no immediate danger. And Nightcrawler says, Professor, see who's with Cyclops and Storm. And so Xavier says, or thinks here, I've never sensed such turmoil in Scott's thoughts. And no wonder, Corsair is his father. And he kind of, you see the question mark. So Xavier didn't know either. And Cyclops says, I'm glad to see you, Professor, although I wish it were in better circumstances. And so here is the Imperial Guard here. Greetings, X-Men. In the name of the Shi'ar, I'm Gladiator, Praetor of the Imperial Guard. Bid you welcome. And so this guy here says, Lord Chancellor Araki, who are these barbarians that Gladiator addresses with such respect? And the Chancellor says, had you scanned the briefing tapes I provided, Admiral, you would know these X-Men are a band of mutants, humans born with enhanced physical and or mental abilities, gathered together by their teacher, Professor Charles Xavier. This is, of course, exposition for us, the reader. Every issue was somebody's first, as ordered by Jim Shooter, so we always have to provide a reference. So you see a lot of repetition every single issue, and you'll see basically something similar to that. And so continued here, though feared and hated by many of their fellow Terrans, they are a force for justice in their world. And so Xavier says, remain calm, X-Men. I know there is no love lost between us and the Shi'ar, but we will not fight unless provoked. And Wolverine says, right now, Charlie, I'm feeling real provoked. And Xavier says, control yourself, Wolverine. That's an order. Araki, what is the meaning of this? Why are we here? I demand an immediate audience with Empress Lilandra, says Xavier. And Araki says, That is not possible, Xavier. If you would learn the reason why. Follow me, he says. So, and we got here, Storm here. The images in the hologram field confirm the story Corsair told to me and Scott. And so, and this here is done by Duotones, also known as Dual Shades as well, or it could be a combination of either or, but that's what this would have been. And so Xavier's like, Lilandra, my beloved. And Kitty's like, wow. And so Akari here says, at the last meeting of her Grand Council, Lilandra was abducted by terrorists, and many of her ministers were slaughtered. And Xavier, you can see the look in his face. Is she dead? No, she can't be. Otherwise, I'd have sensed it through the rapport we share. Who is responsible for this outrage, Araki? Why did they do it? Where have they taken her? And Wolverine's like, who cares? This is a Shi'ar problem, Charlie. It's none of our concern. And it says here, who, I don't know who says this. It must be Araki. And he says, wrong, Wolverine. It is very much your concern. The trail ends to Earth. The evidence implicates inhabitants of your world. And he goes, are you serious? We can barely fly to the flaming moon, bub. You clowns live in another galaxy. And Cyclops says, suppose Lilandra is here. What do you propose to do about it? And Araki says, liberate her if she is alive. Avenge her if she is not. Corsair is one of the conspirators. He will be punished for his treason. We will use Xavier's psychic bond with the Empress to enable us to locate her. Then we will send a force of Imperial Guard and combat troopers to effect her release. And Xavier says, no, I have no idea what this, how to pronounce this. It's something in their local tongue. Shivaran Halanau. The Imperial Consort. It's essentially what it means. I forbid that course of action. It would certainly result in Lilandra's death and the destruction of lives and property on Earth as well. And this other guy says, you are barbarians lacking even a rudimentary world government. Your lives, your puny planet mean nothing to the Shi'ar. And Xavier says, do you defy my lawful command, Admiral? And I like this little things on his head here. And Araki says, you are consort, Xavier, Lilandra's chosen life mate. Your order will be obeyed to a point. I will withhold Imperial action for one rotation of your world about its planetary axis. So 1 day. Sorry about that. I used the escape button. So, to allow your X-Men an opportunity to rescue the Empress. However, after that, I shall take whatever action I and Admiral Lord Samdar deem appropriate. So this must be Samdar here. I guarantee as a guarantee of your good faith, I require 2 of your students to remain here as hostages. Do you doubt my word, Araki, or my love for Lilandra? And he says, these are dangerous times, Xavier. I doubt everything and everyone. And so he says, Cyclops, I'd appreciate your suggestions in this matter. And yours also, Storm, of course. And she says, I'm team leader now, yet the professor asked Scott first. As Scott said, old habits do die hard. And so they make a decision. And so, I'm scared, Professor. Buck up, kid, and I'll protect you. So it looks like Kitty and Nightcrawler are staying. There's no need to worry, Kitty. And so he thinks, I must act quickly, under cover of our farewell embrace, to forge a mind link with Kitty. And she's like, oh, as he touches her. And Colossus like, Katya! And fill her brain with all my knowledge of the Shi'ar. Forgive me, child. I know this sudden and unexpected influx of data seems overwhelming, but it may save our lives in our world. She is all right, X-Men. She merely fainted. I have set you and Kitty an impossible task, Nightcrawler. So much depends on your skill, your intelligence, and your courage. And Nightcrawler says, you may count on us, Professor. Lord Grant, we meet again, he says. So, and here, this is totally Star Trek. This is such a Star Trek thing here. So as they teleport back to Earth. So this is of course the Avengers Mansion, and so we have Tigra here. So it looks like it says here that they went to go ask for help of the Avengers, but they were none, only Tigra. And they tried to call the Fantastic Four, but they're away as usual. Every time somebody needs the Fantastic Four here, so you can see Wolverine kind of sitting here. And so he says, "So we're on our own. So what else is new? We've been in this dump for flaming hours, waiting, sitting on our dust, doing nothing. What the blazes is Charlie playing at? We ain't got time to waste." And Colossus says, "At least we're on Earth, Tovarish, and among friends. Think of Katya Nightcrawler, trapped aboard an alien spaceship." And so Tigra says, "Cheer up, bunkers. No sense in letting doom and gloom rule the day." And she's like, "Row!" as he releases his claws. "Back off, Lady Cat. I ain't in the mood," says. And Tigra says, "And I don't scare easy. You want to match your claws against mine, Pipsqueak?" And Wolverine says, "You eager to lose your 9 lives at once, sweetheart?" And Colossus is like, "Wolverine, Tigra, stop this." And Cyclops comes in. He's like, "Hey." And Professor Xavier's looking like, "Oh, can't leave him alone for a minute." And so Cyclops says, "I don't believe this. Kitty behaves more like an adult than the lot of you put together." So Jarvis says, "Tea and sandwiches, sir. Are you certain you won't rest, Professor? If you'll pardon my saying, you don't look so well." And Xavier says, "I would love a rest, Jarvis, and to be honest, I feel wretched, but I'll survive, thank you." And Wolverine says, "What happened, Charlie?" And he says, "Wolverine, I really do hate that name. If you must be familiar, please call me Charles, or better yet, Professor. I tried to establish telepathic contact with Lilandra. I was anticipating. Our foes rigged a psionic ambush. I barely managed to escape, but I established a rough fix on Lilandra's location. She's very close, somewhere in New York, perhaps even Manhattan. When I am rested, I shall make another attempt to reach her. By that time, By the way, where is Corsair? I have some questions for him." And Wolverine says, "I mark his scent, Charlie, but it's real faint. He isn't in the house." So Professor Xavier, always asking Charles or Professor, but he's like, still calls him Charlie. "Neither is Storm. They're both gone, but if it's urgent, I can track them. No sweat." So here we are at the observation deck, and this is actually pretty cool. And Dave Cockrum, he's decent and stuff, but it's just not my cup of tea. Now, here's the funny thing. This is this part here where the screen tone is probably used to, I don't know, look like the Milky Way, but it actually looks like North America. Check it out. Mexico here, like a rough Alaska here. So anyway, Kitty's impressed, and she's like, oh my, it's a beautiful night," says Nightcrawler. "I've seen pictures in books, on TV, and movies, but the reality is so majestic, so beautiful. It takes my breath away, Kurt, leaves me as tongue-tied as Peter. We can't let the Shi'ar, we can't let anyone destroy the Earth. We can't." And Nightcrawler says, "And we won't, Kitty. You have my word." And he says, "You're shivering, child. Why are you still wearing your bathing suit? Even in the controlled environment of this ship, you must be chilly." And she says, I'm a bit, but I've been too excited and scared up till now to notice. Didn't anyone provide a change of clothes?" "They did better than that. Get a load of this gizmo I discovered." And he says, "What does it do?" "It makes clothes." And so here, different, even White Phoenix outfit, even Lilandra, and look at it, look at Darth Vader here. So pretty cool. And so Nightcrawler is like, "I'm pleased to see you're taking our imprisonment so well." And Kitty says, so are our jailers. I'm nothing to fear, right? A kid playing with her new toy. But under the cover of my playing, I've been using the knowledge Professor Xavier punched into my skull to tap into this ship's primary computer. With that on our side, plus your ability to teleport and mind to face through walls, we'll be able to go anywhere on this tub and do anything, she says. So, all right. And so Corsair and Storm are walking through New York City, and it's funny. Corsair's still in his costume or his whatever, and Storm is dressed, but everybody's probably looking. I think this is supposed to be Jim Shooter. So and Corsair says it's so different, Ororo. So much bigger, more crowded. The last time I visited New York, none of these buildings existed. The entire face of the city, of the country, of the world has changed almost beyond belief, yet it all seems so primitive to me. I've been so far, seen so much. My world isn't mine anymore. And Storm says, I've heard similar sentiments from Colossus. And Storm continues, because of his experience as an X-Men, Peter fears he has lost forever the simple farmer's life he once enjoyed. In his heart, he knows he can never truly return to that. He will not, cannot exchange for what he was, what he is for what he was once. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. For what he once was. None of us can, says Storm. So Scott was right. I should have tried to come back. But when Anne died, I died. How do I explain a loss like that, and what does it mean? And Storm says he would understand. No, to understand, you have to live through it. Precisely. He was in love with Jean Grey, Phoenix. I didn't see her among the other X-Men. She is dead, Christopher. Oh, my poor boy. They were so happy, so right together. How did it happen? And so she explains to him. Targets in sight, my lady. At your command, Corsair dies. And the Terran Windrider with him. So it looks like someone is about to blow him to pieces. So, oh, by the way, this here's the Marvel office at that time, and this is Dave Cockrum here. Although I think he's a redhead. I don't think he was a blonde, but anyway. He could have been a brunette here. So here we have one of the brood here. And so the brood says, they appear to be prime specimens, fit perhaps for the mother of us all herself. Destroying them seems like such a waste. And so this is Deathbird. I hope I'm not spoiling it for you. Again, these are 45-year-old comic books as of this recording. So, they are a dangerous Skrull. Given a chance, they may well destroy us all. They might even prove a match for your precious mother, she says. Have a care, renegade. Though we are allies, though I have sworn to serve you, we of the blood will tolerate no respect. And Deathbird says, I have fought them, you have not. If I, the finest warrior ever born to the Eyrie, respect them, you should fear them. And he says, the brood fear nothing. And he fires, hitting both Corsair and Storm. Are they dead? Well, of course not. So here they're seeing some illusions. Love the color hold. And so Deathbird says, the Scythe scream worked perfectly. The two of them are helpless. I would have preferred a true test of my abilities, but I have worked too long, too hard. There is much at stake to risk a fair fight, she says. I do you honor, Corsair, for you and your companion are among the first to fall before the new Empress of the Shi'ar, Deathbird, but she's hit here by Cyclops' octave beams. Beautiful, Scotty, right on target. You knocked her in the proverbial loop. And Xavier says, Corsair and Storm are in deadly peril. We must aid them before it is too late, he says. And so, Deathbird, as she's falling here, force bolt fired from the youth's eye. Stun me, I'm falling. And Tigra says, leave the ladybird to me, guys. I could use the workout. So she jumps and catches Deathbird. Howdy doodoo, fly gal. I'm Tigra, new here on the block. I'm your basic cat by nature. You'll never guess what we do to canaries. And Deathbird says, and neither know nor care, hatchling. But if that is a threat, it is a hollow one. And so Tigra says, yikes, she's as fast and strong. And each time I connect, I feel like I'm slugging granite. And Deathbird says, you have courage, Tigra, but you are a fool to confront me on my element. So far away from your own, she means the air. So Tigra's going to fall here, and she's like, whoops. And so she lands here, and then, or you can see her that she catches this, flips, lands here. And so Tigra says, nice try, Ladybird, but speaking as one of the world's premier gymnasts, I don't snuff that easily. So, and Deathbird says, most impressive final performance. And so she takes out these two things, and I guess I would describe them similar to Daredevil's billy clubs. So, my energy javelins will leave nothing left of you save ashes. And you can see here that they fire here. And Colossus evades it and to save the professor. He goes, Professor, look out, woof! And Xavier yells, Colossus! And I love the sound effect. A skang. So, and this car blows up here. And Cyclops says, the police won't be able to cope with Deathbird's advanced weaponry. And she isn't alone either. Storm and Corsair were fired by a sniper hidden inside the IBM construction site. So that's where the IBM tower was eventually built. Deathbird must be disarmed, Cyclops, before she injures any innocent bystanders, and to allow me an opportunity to heal our stricken friends, he says. So, no problem, Professor. And so he fires the beam at Deathbird. And he goes, I'm trying to knock her out as well, but she's as tough as Wolverine. I've only hit her twice hard and only stunned her. I daren't use any more. My optic blast anywhere near full strength would probably kill her. And so Deathbird says, the Gruber force beams hurt me. I need time to recover my wits and a battleground where my foes are at disadvantage. Cyclo goes, miss! She's ducking into the building. Flush her out, Wolverine, but watch yourself. She isn't alone. And Wolverine says, the more the merrier, pal. Hey, Tigra, you want to learn how to live dangerously? Tag along. And so here, they're still part of this thing, and Corsair and Storm are fighting each other, but they're finally pulled apart. Storm, do not fight me. I am your friend. Hold her, Colossus. I have Corsair. And he, of course, doesn't see his son. So, you have prayed for this moment, Decan. As you killed my wife years ago, now I kill you. Corsair, no. And Cyclops is like, he thinks I'm the Shi'ar Emperor. And I could hurl him off with an optic blast, but I don't want to hurt him. I can't, as he's being choked. And Xavier uses kind of like a small side blast to kind of scramble back their energies or their memories. And Corsair realizes he was choking his son, and Cyclops is like, oh, remind me never to make you mad, Corsair. You play for keeps. And Corsair, he feels bad for almost killing Cyclops, and Cyclops says, well, perhaps I passed judgment before all the evidence was in. This wasn't your fault. One of Deathbird's flunky fired a ray that made you and Storm crazy, he says. And Corsair's like, Deathbird? She's part of the reason I came to Earth. The Starjammers learned she's a guide force behind the rebellion against Lilandra. If she's here, Lilandra can't be far away. And Storm says, whoever this Deathbird is, she has much to answer for. And so here you go, Corsair and Storm, and he tells them to wait, that he has a plan. So, and the Brood says, the crippled mammal is a telepath and the leader of Deathbird's foes, judging from their treatment of him. It will be fascinating to observe the effect of my Psy Scream will have on such a finely tuned, aware mind. And he goes, who? And here's Wolverine. This is actually a great pose here. Name's Wolverine, sucker. If you want Charlie, you'll have to take me first, he says. Man, this is really a great panel. It really is. And so you see the snicked. The name's Wolverine, sucker. You want Charlie, you'll have to take me first. I think Claremont, even though he's been writing X-Men for a while, he is sort of starting to get Wolverine, or at least be comfortable, because I don't know. I don't like the name's Wolverine, sucker. I can't see him speaking like that, but he's starting to get that really cool attitude. So, all right. And so he says here that the fight is one-sided as it is brief. So it looks like he killed the poor thing. So unfortunately, Skrull does not act alone. So there's somebody else here, and they shoot Storm, and this thing comes out and it ensnares her. So, and there's another one in there, and Colossus gets in again, and it hits, and he goes, I've been hit by some form of bomb. Professor might close my body. I am burning. Cyclops, that shell was filled with acid. Let's see here. So which way are we going? So this way here. So 2 shots, 2 X-Men. Deathbird's goons are good. Tigra, dive for Storm. Swing her towards Wolverine. And Xavier says, I cannot halt the acid's progress with my psi powers. Well, of course you can't use psychic ability on physical stuff. Can at least neutralize the pain it causes, he says. And so Tigra says, as good as done, Cyclops. That saves her. Who's going to save me? Stick around, Hotshot. You'll find out. And so Storm down and don't move a muscle. And he claws her, but doesn't cut her. I'm free. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. Snag the cat, lady, babe. I'll handle the snipers. So she ends up catching Tigra. And Tigra's like, woo! For a moment there, I thought I was beginning to get worried. And Storm says, as I was, Tigra, a few moments ago. Thank you for my life, she says. So she gets there. Colossus, the smoke, is he on fire? And Cyclops says, it's acid. I thought nothing could penetrate Colossus's armor, but that stuff's eating straight through him. And Colossus says, I fear my good fortune is at an end, Wind Rider. And so, Colossus just looks so pained. Nonsense. And so she creates a storm here, kind of to wash the acid out, and uses the lightning to vaporize it. And, poor Colossus here. I am a goddess of life, little brother, as well as of storms. Remember, it is within my power to save you. I shall. I should not have doubted you, Colossus kind of struggles to say. Cyclops says, easy, fella, you've been through a lot. And have endured, Tavarish. As soon as I recover my strength, we shall. Nothing doing, Colossus. This scrap's over for you. Stay with the professor and take care of him. The rest of us will clean out Deathbird's nest. But we saw the covers, so we know something's going to be up. So, meanwhile, here we got Wolverine and the Brood again. And so Wolverine says, I'm impressed, bub. You are not only the ugliest suckers I've ever laid eyes on, but you fight better than anything I've ever met. Didn't he just get rid of one for like 2 seconds? So, and I'm a man who values good roughhouse. And the Brood says, fool, Defeat one of us. Defeat 1,000. The Brood will still triumph. Want a bet? And so he lands here, and you can see the Brood disintegrated. And Storm says, "Blessed goddess, what is that?" And Wolverine says, "Beats me, darling, but it ain't human and it ain't nice. It claims to belong to some outfit called the Brood, and it's hooked up with Deathbird." And Cyclops says, "Wolverine is disintegrated." Yeah, they do that. Tidy buggers, aren't they? So, all right. Um, and so we continue here. This was the last of the snipers, Cyclops. Their scent suggests strongest toward the basement. I'll lay odds that's their hideout. Just before Storm got zapped, I spotted the Corsair heading that way. And Corsair says, "Who are these scaly horrors? They're not from any part of the Shi'ar Empire or any part of known space. How did Deathbird come to ally herself with them? What do they want?" That hatch web makes a superb defensive position. There's no way I can breach it without reinforcements. So, and Cyclops comes in. "Having a good time, Pops? No complaints. What kept you? Traffic. What else? Scott, did you just call me Pop? It doesn't sound like a joke or an insult." And he says, "It wasn't. I don't know you well enough to hate you or love you. I don't know you at all, but I'd like to learn." "Fair enough. Come on, Sonny. Let's rescue the Empress." And so here come the X-Men and Tigra, and you can see him shoot this thing. But here's Deathbird. "Stand your ground, grubbers, or the old man dies." So, and Storm says, "We left Colossus to protect him. What could have happened?" And Cyclops thinks here, "She must be inhibiting his psi powers, or he'd have used them by now. Her talons are at his throat. I dare not try an optic blast." "We've done as you asked, Deathbird. Let him go." And Deathbird says, "Your loyalty is as commendable as your courage, Cyclops. That will make a fitting epitaph." And she kind of aims, or I don't know, uses her power and destroys the building. And inside was a huge ship coming out of that. So, and Tigra says, "I know I'm supposed to have 9 lives, but I wish there were easier ways of proving it. I thought Deathbird had us." And Storm thinks, "I almost wish you hadn't, Scott. Sorry, are we going this way?" Okay, because she's thinking after. So, Cyclops says, "I managed to parry her spear with an optic blast." And so then Storm says, "I almost wish you hadn't, Scott. I would rather face a quick, clean death than be entombed alive. I have known this terror since childhood. I fear it will never leave me." "Want me to pop my claws and start cutting an exit, Cyclops?" And he says, "No need." And he uses his optic blast here. He says, "I have a better idea." And he says, "What a mess. One of the X-Men's hallmarks, according to Angel, is what you can generally see where we've been." And Cyclops says, "Colossus, can you hear me? Are you all right, Colossus? Fan out, people. Wolverine, try to pinpoint his scent." And they found him, and here's a thing kind of going through him like a spear. And, "Colossus, Peter, someone call an ambulance." "If one was already here, Psyche, it wouldn't make difference. If he was in the best hospital in the world with the best doctors, it wouldn't do any good." And so suddenly the police are there, and Wolverine says, "You'll be missed, Petey, but you will be avenged. Shoot, I hate to make matters worse, boss, but we've got company. No false moves, ladies and gentlemen. You're under arrest." So, next issue, Star Chase. So, Uncanny X-Men 155. Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, and Bob McLeod. I don't know why I said Bob McLeod. Bob Wycheck. Oh, this was a long one. So, anyway, like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.